What's up, it's Gen, your inGENEious storytelling coach. In this video, I want to talk to you about why storytelling is important. But I want to focus on a specific type of storytelling that I love, which is principle-focused storytelling. So what is principle-focused storytelling? Well, it's storytelling that allows you to teach the principles that you believe in or you live by. And the story itself, it allows the people that hear the story to see those principles in action. Now, the reason this is important because a story by itself, it is not going to have an impact. And that's why it has to have two things that will allow it to have the impact, where it's persuading people, motivating people, or inspiring people. These are the two things that a principle-focused story has that allow it to be significant. The first thing is it gives your stories meaning. Have you ever heard somebody tell a story and they just ramble and you start thinking to yourself as they're talking, what's the point of this story? Well, the reason you're thinking that way is because that story doesn't have any meaning. There's no purpose for that story, and they can just go on and on and on. I know this guy, right? He's a football coach and he's a very good storyteller when he's telling you a story. But the problem is the story just goes on and on. He rambles. He goes from one part of the story to another part of the story. Then he tried to, intertwine stories together, and it's just all over the place. He's a good guy, but every time he starts telling a story, I start getting frustrated and I just want to ask him, what is the point of this story? You see, when you have a principle-focused story, it allows you to bring meaning to that story. And that meaning also leads to the second thing. It allows you to have a concise message. You see, when your story has a concise message, it has purpose, it has meaning, and people will be able to get something from that story. But when you don't have that, it is very difficult to have an impact with your story. So I'm going to give you an example of a principle-focused story. I'm going to give a story to you off the top of my head, but this is the principle of the story that I wrote down. This is the principle. Speaking with confidence will lead to respect. Let me say it a different way. I'm going off the top of my head. Speaking with confidence will lead to people's respect. When I first started substitute teaching a long time ago, I went to this high school, and when I walked inside the classroom, the teacher was there because I was doing a half day for her. I looked at her and she was extremely red in the face. And she said, "What's your name?" I said, "I'm Mr. Mosley." She said, "Well, Mr. Mosley, let me be very upfront with you. My classes will not respect you. They don't respect any sub. They don't even respect me." And I looked her in the eyes and I said, "Well, they're going to respect me." She said, "No, they're not." She walked out the classroom like she had an attitude. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, why was this lady so, got so offended by me saying that? Well, the bell rang and the first class that I was going to see for the day came in. They were very loud. They were screaming. They was acting a fool. When the toilet bell rang, I stood in front of the class with confidence and I said, "Listen up. These are the rules of the class today. If you cannot follow directions, I'm going to kick your butt out. You're going to go to that front office and you will not be in here. Does everybody understand that?" They all got silent and I asked again, "Does everybody understand that?" They all said, "Yes, sir." I had no problems with that class. The next class came in. They was extremely loud. I told them the same thing with the same amount of confidence, very direct. Had no issues. Well, the last class came in for the day, and that was supposed to be the worst class for this teacher. And to my surprise, they all walked in. They were not loud. They sat down. I gave them instructions. I had no issues. Now, at the end of the day, I was curious. So I asked the class, "Why do you all not respect your teacher or other subs?" They all started raising their hand, and I called on this student and he said this. He said, "Let me be honest. Our teacher is not confident. When she says something, we don't feel that she believes what she says. She never follows through. And it's the same thing with other subs that come in here." He said, "But the reason that I respect you is because you say what you're gonna do and what's gonna happen with confidence." You see, these students respected me because I spoke with confidence. And if you're somebody, you may be taking on a leadership role. Maybe you're speaking in front of people. Maybe you're somebody that's just trying to have an influence with a group of individuals. You have to understand that when you speak with confidence, people will respect you. So I want to encourage you to always stand in front of people and speak with confidence. No matter if you're nervous, no matter if you're afraid. Because when you speak with confidence, people will respect you. Now, that was an example of a principle-focused story. Now, it's a story off the top of my head. It is a true story. Now, I could have told that story without any meaning. I could have just came up and say, I was in a class one day and these students wouldn't respect me. I told them if they don't listen to me, I'm gonna kick them out. And I could have rambled on and on and on, and it would have been a meaningless story. But by me creating it into a principle-focused story, you can see the story had meaning and it had a concise message. And this is why principle-focused stories are so important. And that's why I like to focus on these type of stories, because these type of stories have allowed me to become a good public speaker. They allowed me to write 9 books, and they have allowed me to shoot on social media over 3,000 videos. So if you want to become a better communicator, I want to encourage you to pay attention to the content that I put on this page, inGENEious Storytelling, so I can help you to enhance your communication skills through principle-focused storytelling.